The air is cooler and the leaves are falling from the trees. The apples are ripe and sweet on the counter, and that means it's nearly fall. Welcome back on this warm and sunny September day. I want to take you through some of my absolute favorite things to do in September. We are going to finish harvesting these apples, and then I want to take you to do a little bit of thrift and antique shopping. I'll show you what I've got, and we'll do a little bit of decorating for fall. And then we are making some bagels and butternut squash soup. So I hope you will cozy up, light a candle, grab some tea, wrap yourself in a blanket or a sweater, and enjoy today's video. It's also that time of year where I'm up to my ears in fresh farm produce, which is a good problem to have. And so I'm whipping up some apple butter, and I just cook those apples with some water here on the stove with cinnamon and allspice and a little bit of sugar. And I'm letting that simmer and pureeing it until it's just thickened. And we're having some apple butter on our pancakes this morning. The rest of the apples are going to be dehydrated for snacks, and I'm also making some fruit leather from some of our apple butter that we have made. So it's more of a apple spice fruit leather, which the kids absolutely love. Most of my kids love eating fruit, especially my girls. They could snack on fruit all the time. I'm used to spending lots on buying healthy dehydrated fruits from Trader Joe's, but I was excited when we got this London Sunshine dehydrator, and so I'm excited to tell you that they are the sponsor of today's video. This beautiful stainless steel dehydrator looks beautiful sitting on my counter. I don't even really mind that it's here, although it does have handy handles on the side for carrying away, and it's nice and light. It also came with 6 metal trays, including 6 plastic vented trays and a fruit leather tray. It comes with its own cookbook and instructions to use. I love all the recipes for meat and fruit and vegetables and herbs. When I was out thrifting and for today's video, I picked up a couple of containers that I'm excited to put all my dehydrated goodies in. Here is our fruit leather that we have made. This is the apple butter fruit leather. The dehydrator was simple to use. The instructions made it very easy. You can set your temperature as long as the timer. And the timer is very handy because you can set this in the evening, leave it on during the night, and the dehydrator shuts off when the timer is off. And I found that if my food needed to be hydrated a little bit more, then I would turn it back on, finish dehydrating, and then store it away. This is going to be really handy with hunting season that's coming up soon as well. I know Jared likes to make his own deer jerky, so we'll be using this as well. And because there are 6 racks, you can fit a lot into this dehydrator. It is easy to clean, and it provides for even drying throughout. Just follow the link in the description box below. My viewers are receiving 10% off when they follow the link and using my code Jenilee 2024. So thank you so much, London Sunshine, and I hope you all enjoy the harvest season. I go get donuts at the grocery store. Go do a little bit of mommy and daughter time this morning, huh? What kind of donut did you get?
I got
Let's put it on a napkin. Let's break her off a little piece.
Can I try hers? I want to try hers. Hers is good. But not as good as an apple fritter.
I got an apple cinnamon donut. Tastes like fall. I should make some of these at home. Don't you think so? Here we are on a Friday morning at my favorite thrift store. We are loaded with donuts and a little bit of caffeine. So what a great combination, right? A combination for success. So today the thrift store seems really packed. I have a bag of donations in the trunk. I always keep a bag in my mudroom and I fill it up with things that we want to donate, and when it fills up I put it in the back of the car and it's just an excuse to go to the thrift store. So here we are. I'm gonna go donate and then we're gonna see what they have inside. Looks like it might be cute. I don't know, darling. Oh, Myra, I love getting these ones. Do we have the hat? I don't think we have a jammed up. Is that your? Look at your little guy. Should we show him your little guy? Here you go. We had so much fun shopping with the girls today. And we also scored such a deal at the thrift store because it happened to be a half off day at the thrift store, which is why it was so packed. But first, let me show you the things that we got at the little antique shop. This is a little vintage apron, and I just had to buy it because it looked so beautiful with this dress. I believe it was about $6. And I am a sucker for an apron with a pocket, so I love it. This was probably the biggest buy of the day. It was, I believe, $22. But I just loved this picture of two girls at the piano. It reminded me of my girls, and I want to put it in the living room. Plus, I love these warm, almost orangey red colors that will look great this fall. And this is a little apron for Myra she picked out. And I wanted something to hang in the kitchen area. I'm trying to figure out how to add some more charm in the kitchen. Speaking of charm in the kitchen, look at these little hot pot pads. They look to be all handmade, and they were only a couple bucks for a pair. And so I had to snag some of these. And they were just in time for pulling some sourdough bread out of the oven. It's just little things full of character like this that make me smile, and I think are so worth having in the home. I find myself drawn more and more to handmade, beautiful things that take time and art. Just living in a world of manufactured things, I think handmade things are just so beautiful. I also have been looking for good wooden frames to replace with art in my home, so I snagged these. I will be using them in the boys' room and probably upstairs or wherever it's needed. And I debated on getting this little pair, but since all of this art was half off, pretty much picked it all up for at least 50 cents a piece. So I thought that was worth it. And then I also grabbed this. It was also 50 cents, but I just love that little gold mustard color on it. And it's going to look really nice here in the dining room with my yellow fireplace that I love. And here is that sweater that I was trying on in the thrift store. I love the pattern on it, and it's thick and warm, and it was just $1. Another thing I like to stock up on when I'm at the thrift store are some tins. I like to give out Christmas cookies to my friends in beautiful tins. And so this is the time of year that I start looking for those. Just unique, pretty, vintage tins that would store Christmas cookies well in, but also be a beautiful gift. Here are the 2 canisters that I picked up for the dehydrated goods. And I also wandered over to the jewelry cabinet and picked up this beautiful pearl vintage necklace that I thought was beautiful, and I love the warm colors for fall and winter. The day just keeps moving forward, and there are a few things that I need to get done today. One of which is putting together these pumpkin spice sourdough bagels. I prepared this dough yesterday and put it in the fridge overnight, and now it's ready to shape. So this is a new recipe for me. I will make sure to put it down in the description box below. The dough was a tad stickier than I'm used to working with, probably because of the pumpkin puree, but I did follow the normal routine of how I make sourdough bagels. So I normally make it the day before, put it in the fridge, and then the following morning or whenever we want to eat the bagels, I shape them, prepare them, and then leave them on the counter to rise and let that dough come to room temperature for at least an hour until it gets nice and fluffy and risen. And then I go ahead and boil and bake and do those following steps. We do have a friend that's going to be stopping in for dinner tonight. He's helping Jared with a project. So I do need to tidy up a little bit and get the dinner going. Now that homeschool has started up again, I haven't quite figured out how to balance my chores and schooling and everything. I feel like it's a learning curve at the beginning of the school year, just to try to keep up with all the things I'm normally used to getting done in the summer. And especially with a 1.5-year-old around, she is so busy. She is crawling and she's going to be walking soon. And she's emptying all of the contents out of the cupboards and drawers and dishwasher onto the floor. It's just a fun little game for her. But one thing that does make it far easier, I think, than it used to be is having older kids in the house to help me keep an eye on her. What I love about fall is the change. In fact, I enjoy change. Change can be good for all of us. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy the slower pace of summer, how relaxed it is and free it can be. But it's always good to get back on schedule and to reorganize. And I love preparing for that cold season ahead. One way I really enjoy the fall season is by buying the acorn spice flavor of Mrs. Meyer's cleaner. I love washing the floors with this cleaner and spraying the counters and even doing dusting with this cleaner. It makes everything smell like cinnamon spice. It just smells so good and so fresh. And that's one way I like to celebrate the changing seasons. It's it's also a great time to do a little bit of freshening up, dusting off the mantle as we pull out some of our favorite fall decor. I use these apples that I thrifted, I think last year or the year before. I like to put them up during fall and keep them up through Christmas. At the beginning of September, I don't really feel like putting up pumpkins everywhere. I just feel like easing into the season. And nature really inspires my home decor in every season. Right now, apples are in season and it's canning season. So that's what I'm putting up in my house. Apples and leaves. Here's a little nod to a pumpkin. But I just like to ease my way in. And it will be pumpkin spice everything soon enough. Speaking of pumpkin spice, these bagels are ready to go into this hot boiling pot of water. I've added a tablespoon of baking soda, about a tablespoon of salt, and a tablespoon of sugar. And I drop these bagels in top side down and let them boil for 1 minute on either side. Meanwhile, I'm going to get started our butternut squash soup that we're going to be having for dinner. And sometimes I like to add bacon to my butternut squash soup. I just feel like it adds a little bit of richness with that bacon fat. So I have my instapot on saute setting, and I'm cutting up my bacon into small pieces and letting that saute until it's nice and crispy. And I'm baking my bagels at 400 and about 25 degrees. I just want them to be nice and toasty on top for about 20 minutes, but I'm just going to watch them. Butternut squash is one of my favorite things to enjoy this time of year. I love butternut squash just about everything. It's sweet, it's got a great flavor, and it makes a nice creamy and sweet soup. We are just enjoying the end of our flower season. In fact, this last weekend, the kids and I went out and picked all the flowers that we could, and we made beautiful bouquets. We even added wildflowers and all sorts of things that we could find out in the fields. And we prepared bouquets and took them to the farmer's market. And the children sold their bouquets and earned some money. And it was just a really positive experience. And it felt really good to be growing something and selling something and teaching our kids just that work ethic of growing something and selling it yourself. And they really enjoyed that process. And so now they have a little bit of spending money of their own for an upcoming vacation. So I chopped up some carrots, which I think adds a nice added flavor and sweetness to the soup. And I just cut up the butternut squash into chunks. And now I'm adding about a teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm adding some garlic powder. Sometimes I add fresh garlic when I'm sauteing all of these veggies in here. I did add 1 chopped onion as well, and some cumin and salt. I just think that the combination of cumin and cinnamon just makes this beautiful mild spice to the butternut squash. And then I'm adding about 3 to 4 cups of water, and I'm going to put that on high pressure for 20 minutes. And we're just gonna serve it up with some bread. And in this case, we're having bagels with it. These bagels we can snack on and have for breakfast tomorrow or whenever. I know this might seem silly that I'm just hopping here and there, but this is what I love about being a homemaker. I love playing around in my house, seeing what looks good here and there, making things look pretty. So while the soup is cooking and the bagels are done, I thought I would try moving things around a little bit. I have been pondering this wall for some time. I've even considered wallpaper, and that idea is not over yet. It's just I haven't gotten to it yet. So I just wanted to put a few things up. I decided to hang up this old 1970s calendar here, kind of in between the mudroom and the kitchen. And I love the warm colors that it's bringing to the room. And once that butternut squash is all cooked, I just give it a pulse with the immersion blender until it's all smooth, although it was very hot. And now I'm adding some cream. And I don't really measure how much cream I'm adding. It could be anywhere between a cup and a half, but just gives it some richness. And then I like to serve it with the crispy bacon on top, maybe a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon just to make it look pretty. And it's just the perfect fall soup. I'm adding a little bit of apple butter to some cream cheese and whipping that up. And that's going to be nice and sweet on top of our bagels. We'll just kind of have that a cider soup or for dessert. So just remember that no matter how busy September can feel, make room for enjoying the simple things, enjoying all of the changes of the season and the beauties it brings. If you enjoyed this video today, would you please let me know down in the comments below, press the like button, join us here on the Pioneer Home. Recipes will be in the description box below, and so will the London Sunshine Dehydrator. And I will catch you all next week for another video. Love you lots.